It's time once again to go racing.
The pressure is really on now.
And it's pole position.
And it's pedal to the metal. Go, go, go!
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Premier Sim Gaming Leagues for some more top-tier action on the PlayStation platform. And it is time for the home of the very first Formula 1 World Championship race way back in May 1950. It is Silverstone. It is round number 6 of Season 29, the British Grand Prix. My name is Luke Etheridge. Alongside me, as always, here is Ali Munda. Mark, how are you doing?
Yes, pretty good. What a season we've had so far. 10 different drivers on the podium in the first 5 races, and I have no doubt we'll see a few more before the end of this campaign. It's a pretty tight title battle so far, and yeah, just can't wait to see. It's been such an entertaining season so far, Luke. It's another fantastic race in offer for us at a circuit where we've seen many classic races in the top tier in the past.
Yeah, so many good races in top tier and in all tiers really. Silverstone, you never quite know what it's going to throw up, especially with the weather. And weather did play a part last time out at Monza. You might remember, if you were with us for that stream, slight rain at the start of the race really did cause a bit of chaos. Drivers weren't quite sure what strategies to go on in the end. Midnight though, he called it right after getting his first podium a week before Monza, so 2 weeks prior to this one. He managed to claim his first victory of the season. It was all fresh faces on the podium behind him as well. Leo getting his first podium of the season in second. Danico in third place. And with the top drivers in the championship not really able to make their mark on the last race, it is still Yost leading the championship. He now has an 8-point lead over Blizzard. Duncan is in third place. And you can see there Leo and Danico have made their way into the top 10 of the championship. And the teams, no surprise seeing as Blizzard had that fantastic start to the season and Midnight has picked up his form. AlphaTauri are now top of the championship on 61 points. Red Bull next, and then Mercedes. Alpine making some big steps as well. Maybe only 8th in the championship, but they've got all 24 points in the last 2 races. And you said it yourself, Mark, 10 different podium drivers in the first 5 races, so 15 is the most you could have. Obviously, only the top 5 drivers have had multiple podiums so far, and they've only had 2 each. No one's had more than 2 podiums. It's all shaping up to be a really close championship battle.
Yes, I mean, in the Constructors, AlphaTauris collectively, and eking out a little bit of a gap, they had the best performance of any team collectively at the last round, 21 points. But, you know, last week really was the round of the underdog, Luke. You know, we had some drivers and teams collectively getting some results that they had not really been able to get so far during the season. But you get the sense, though, tonight may be kind of a return to business in terms of the big guns at the top of the standings.
Yeah, certainly. I think they'll want to lay their mark on this track. Italy is quite a unique circuit. Of course, with the high downforce stage, well, with the low downforce stage, the high speed, I should say. Silverstone, bit more twisted, bit more technical. Going to a bit of a simple circuit next time around, you can see, at Austria. And then we're off away to Asia for China, back to Europe for the Portuguese Grand Prix at Portimao. That'll be one to see. Then Canada, Mexico, USA, and a traditional finale to the season of Brazil. But we are sort of now, you've got to say, we're past that beginning start of the season. Drivers, this is pretty much it now. If you wanted to start making a mark, if you wanted to put on a serious title challenge, you've got to start doing it soon. And this isn't the easiest circuit to overtake on, so qualifying could be very crucial.
Yes, you know, the next 2 rounds, 2 very historic tracks with the Red Bull Ring and Silverstone tonight. And I think really, if you're not entitled to contention after those 2 rounds before we head off to China, then it's going to be really difficult to regain that momentum in the final 7 rounds of the season.
Yeah, most definitely. And as you said, there's certain drivers who we think might be looking to have better races this time out. Blizzard did recover up to 6th place, but it's weird, his qualifying, he obviously got pole in the first 3 races. I think we're slightly disappointed to only obviously get 1 victory from those first 3 races, and then another podium after penalties in Belgium, but 16th in Netherlands after a bad qualifying, recovered to 6th in Italy after a bad qualifying. I imagine he'll be wanting to get, if not on pole position, get towards the top of qualifying once again, to obviously give yourself the best possible chance and the least possible chance of getting yourself avoided maybe in any turn 1 shenanigans.
Yes, I mean, Blizzard had a pretty shocking session all round until he recovered himself up to P6. So, yeah, I mean, it was all going so well for him early in the season, particularly he was leading the race at Belgium, made that unforced error at the top of the hill at Radion. And then since then, it's kind of been a struggle for him to get big points. He got no points at Zandvoort, only 5. He did outscore Juice, though, has to be said, so he did manage to cut the lead of Juice. I mean, Juice himself didn't have a great round, or Duncan. In fact, the top 3, none of them finished on the podium. And then, you know, George's, he had an awful round as well, some glitches. So really, as we talked about earlier, it's going to be all about, you know, stamping their authority once again, because it was last week around for those taking advantage of the mistakes of those further up the championship standings. But, you know, Juice, Blizzard, they'll want to go into round 7, the halfway point of the season, you know, maybe trying to get away from the rest of the leading back.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, last time we came to this circuit, season 27, it was actually CRG Gamer who took the victory around Silverstone. I believe that was his last victory in the top tier. We've got M Short, who won here last time. That was, of course, in one of the lower tiers in F3. He'll be feeling slightly gutted after what happened last time. Was up near his teammate for the majority of the race, went to pit under that late safety car, ended up being, though, clearly the wrong choice. He did still get his best finish of the season in 7th, but I'm sure he'll be hoping for a bit more maybe this time out, trying to prove what he can do. But let's go on board then with Will LG to take us on a lap of the historic Silverstone circuit. It's changed a lot over the years, 5.891 kilometres, 3.660 miles, but we are now back to the original pit straight here, just on the one towards Abbey, but now we go through the right-hander, first used in 2010, now into Farm, nice and flat through there. It's all about getting a good line here into Village and the loop section. Very careful on the brakes, easy to lock up at this part of the circuit. Might see the odd driver try a dive bomb down the inside there. They're now flat out through Aintree, DRS open as the cars are still turning, just showing the downforce that modern Formula 1 cars do have. And now we're breaking into Brooklands here, another corner where it is possible to overtake, but you'll see a lot of drivers battling side by side through this almost stadium-esque section towards what used to be the end of the lap as you exit Loffield, flat out through Woodcut, past the National, pit straight into Copse, where absolutely nothing controversial has ever happened in modern Formula 1 history. Will's kept it nice and tidy through there, leaving a bit to hand on exit, perhaps on a later lap. And now Maggott, Beckett and Chappell, definitely one of the tests of a modern Formula 1 car. You can see flat through the first parts there, only really having to brake for the final bit at Chappell. He has invalidated his lap, and unsurprisingly after invalidating decides to back off. So let's go on board with M Short then, down the Hangar Straight, one of the bits of the circuit where you do see the most undulation, unsurprisingly being an old World War II airfield. It is actually pretty flat around Silverstone. He now heads into the Stowe corner. Normally you do see drivers try overtakes, and again they'll sometimes carry on into the final part of the lap, into Vale and Club, or just about getting it nice and tidy through here, getting a good exit. We'll see what M Short can do as he comes across the line. 126.125 is a very good lap indeed when you consider pole position in F2 was a 125.9.
Yeah, M Short definitely gained a little bit of confidence with that result last week. Alpine collectively having their best result of the season so far. And yeah, that's a very tidy banker lap. That's Benjamin and Gamer slot in just behind him. Just on board with Blizzard at the moment, heading through the Vale to finish his lap. Low on fuel, so he went for a very low fuel run there as Midnight gets it down and Blizzard responds. And look at that, AlphaTauri's once again on the pace collectively.
Yeah, great lap there, Blizzard. 125.912. Midnight in 3rd place. It's amazing how Midnight's confidence just seemed to come with one good result that he had at Zandvoort, getting on the podium. Looks like an absolutely changed individual. He did show pace beforehand, let's not forget. He was looking pretty good at the Belgian Grand Prix before he had that spin and accident at Eau Rouge, along with many other drivers. His teammate was one of the ones to get it wrong there. I think a few others did as well. So we'll have to see if any corners catch out the drivers tonight. I know at the start of the game, a few drivers did find it quite difficult around Cops, but it doesn't seem to be causing as many problems now. Duncan then, he goes up into 5th place, highest man in the championship, yet to get a victory. 2 second places, his best results, and getting a good one last time out with 4th place, probably the highest of the expected championship challengers to get a good result. He'll be hoping that he can carry that on, that consistent point scoring. Even like we said, he hasn't won a race, but he is only, 9 points off the lead of the championship so far.
Yeah, I think Duncan is kind of under the radar at the moment. Everyone's talking about Juice versus Blizzard in the championship, but Duncan, he was the championship runner-up last season, and he is there. He is right there in this fight. And a big result here today could really throw him right into the mix. You do feel, though, Luke, that at some stage he'll want to get that confidence-boosting win.
Yeah, certainly. Just to say you've beaten everyone there, even if it gets taken off you with penalties, I suppose, even if you take the victory out on track and say, yeah, I was faster than everyone, that's the main thing, and that's why sometimes you do see drivers obviously try and fight past the car in front. Even if the one ahead's got penalties, you still want to beat them out on track. Let's see what Jack Eater can do here through Maggots, Beckett and Chapel. Speeds are absolutely ridiculous, getting down to about 125 mile per hour, 200 kph through that part of the circuit. Absolutely unthinkable probably when we first started watching Formula 1. The downforce and the grip on modern Formula 1 cars, absolutely amazing, as well as the power obviously from the 1.6 litre hybrid powertrains. Jack Eater just coming through the final part of the lap now into Vale and Club. We've seen drivers try to go for moves at that part of the circuit, and that's the good thing about Silverstone. When battles do happen, because there's no really massive braking zones, you do tend to continue for quite a few corners. So if someone tries a move into Stowe, probably isn't until they actually come onto the pit straight before you're certain who's ahead, and even then it can carry on a bit further into this first section of the lap.
Yeah, and I have seen personally that sort of side-by-side action can go on for nearly half the lap. I shared a classic race early on my Twitter early on, season 18, where Cliffy and Ollie D battled lap after lap side by side. It was one of the best battles in top tier history. And just having a look at the times at the moment, less than 2.5 tenths covering the top 6.
Yeah, things are looking really close. I mean, it's just over 3 tenths separating the top 10 at this moment in time. 8 tenths separating everyone who set a lap time apart from Leo's, as I imagine he did back off quite heavily on that lap. Casper and Will have both gone for a second run. Will obviously invalidated. I imagine that was the case with Casper as well. I think he'll be wanting to, another driver who's going to be wanting to get a good race, get that confidence boosting result. Pre-season, he just had so much bad luck, various connection issues, qualifying problems with slower cars getting in the way on occasion. He got points in the first 2 races, and last time out he got a 10th place, but it has sort of tailed off since then. And there's not only the Drivers' Championship to think about, there is the Constructors, and I think at the start of the season, you probably said AlphaTauri, Red Bull and McLaren would be there towards the top, but it looks to be going that way at the moment.
Yes, I mean, look, in pre-season, we saw the pairings, and yeah, they were the ones that came up. But I do think if Midnight carries on this form, and we know how quick Blizzard is, I think AlphaTauri at this stage are the favourites to win the Constructors' Championship if they carry on collectively this consistency.
Yeah, certainly. They're looking very good at this moment in time. 12 points ahead of Red Bull, and they've still not really had both drivers having a good weekend. Normally one of them has performed well, one of them has made a slight mistake. Georges is a driver who's shown some pace, could have got a good result last time out. In the end, 13th position, was actually involved in a collision with what turned out to be his teammate for last week, not his full-time teammate. Oggiano is back tonight as his full-time teammate. I think it's the first time this season we've actually had all 20 drivers, which is bad news for Jordan, of course. The man's 6th place in the championship as he is a reserve at the moment, but Lars did get a 5-second penalty for a collision with Georges last week. Didn't make any effect though on the timing. And let's see what Georges is doing first sector at the moment. 27.2, a 10th off the fastest that we've seen from Blizzard, but definitely very respectable with how close it is. So you'd expect that from these guys. The one slight lock-up's probably going to make the difference between starting 6th and 16th.
Yeah, I mean, just analysing the times so far, look pretty similar in Sector 1 and Sector 3. It seems to be Sector 2, where there seems to be the slight differences in time, and George is very smooth on the accelerator out of the last part of the Maggots Beckett Chapel complex. And this looks like a very competitive time so far. Again, about maybe 1.5 tenths down on Blizzard. So if he carries on this, he'll probably slot into the top 5.
Yeah, certainly. We'll see what he can do through the final part of the lap. Top 10, I'd say, is an absolute... Well, I say it's a guarantee. The gap between 5th and 10th is only 800ths of a second at the moment. So we'll see what Georges can do. Slight correction there through the final corner. Not that it affected him. 1:26.067 puts him up into 4th place for now. Fastest of everyone in the final sector. So he's now fastest of everyone in the final sector. Casper fastest in the middle. And Blizzard fastest at the first part of the lap. His comrade, we can see, CRG Leo, just... he actually backed off, I think, on that lap. Or invalidated, I should say, maybe, on that last lap. So he's going to go for another one. Alternate strategy. It's good around every circuit, let's be perfectly honest. But Silverstone isn't one of the ones that comes out of you as like, ooh, drivers will be focusing on trying to get 11th.
Yes, I mean, the alternate strategy can be pretty powerful here, but because the pit stop is so long here, if you get held up in any sort of way, it's going to negate that.
Yeah, certainly. It is going to cause problems. If drivers will only be wanting to make one pit stop. Blizzard, he's improving fastest. He had gone fastest of everyone in the middle sector. That has just been beaten by Benjamin. So we'll see what he does as he comes round the final couple of corners now. Can he get himself further into the 125s? Maybe the first driver to do a 125.8 for Blizzard. And there we go, 125.826 puts him fastest of everyone. Benjamin comes across the line. He slots into 2nd place. Joost was fastest of everyone in the first sector. 6 minutes 30 remaining. And it is really starting to heat up in this qualifying session. Joost's got Will LG just ahead of him. Shouldn't distract him too much, you'd imagine. As the Red Bull comes around the final corner, he goes now up into 2nd place. Less than a 10th, separating the top 3 drivers.
No, this is shaping up very nicely at this stage. Gamer's just coming around the final call. Let's see what he can do. He's definitely on a quicker time right now. And yeah, slots up into P8. Nice time from Gamer there. Just shy of 3/10 off the pole time. But yeah, Midnight looking to respond now as he heads through Club for his 2nd run of the day. And it's going to be P6. So yeah, didn't improve at all, unfortunately. So stays on the 3rd row.
Yeah, I wonder if he maybe backed off on that lap, just looking at his final sector time, and perhaps going for another one. Fusilo gets himself up into 12th place, I believe. As I just quickly check here, he's actually the highest placed driver in the championship not to yet get a podium. 4th and a 5th. His 2-point scoring finishes, so he's been pretty close on a couple of occasions. We've got about a third of the session remaining, and it's Blizzard, Joost, Benjamin, Casper, Ogiano, your top 5. They're all in the 125s. Dan Urko, Midnight, Georges Gamer, and M Short rounded out the top 10 as Jack Eater, we just watched go across the line in the Haas. I think the last driver to really do a flat-out 2nd run. As Midnight looks as though he is going for another lap, but Jack Eater goes up into 14th place. We'll see what Midnight's doing on this run. He's, yeah, I think he's backed off and just bringing it back to the pits. Yeah.
Problem is, if he goes for another Midnight right now, it's going to be a struggle for him to get back rounds out of the pits for a final run, because track evolution, particularly at this track with 70% the lap of full throttle, can be quite high. So you want to be out there as late as possible, particularly in a dry session like this with glorious sunshine, where, you know, the traction is going to be at its absolute maximum on those soft tyres.
Yeah, definitely. Will's done a 2nd lap on those tyres, a 126.138, slots him into 12th place. 3 and a bit tenths off of pole position. If we just get the intervals up, just so you can see how close it is at the moment, the top 16 separated by half a second. Suso's only just outside of that, and I imagine you'd be expecting Christmas to improve, although it has been a bit of a, I think saying it's been a tough season for the Aston Martins, a bit of an understatement at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Christmas has shown some pace, but he's the only non-reserve not to score a point so far this season, and, you know, he's been in positions to score good points, but either he's made a mistake, or luck's gone against him, or he's picked up too many time penalties. It's just a combination of those things are just not the ingredients you need for a good season. You need, you know, first of all, you need a clean race. Second of all, you need to not pick up any time penalties. And then third of all, you need to not be involved in any incidents which are either of your own doing or, you know, being in the wrong place at the wrong time. So, you know, pretty much everything that could go wrong for Christmas in races has done so at some point. He's only actually finished one race as of the 4 he started. So that's something he's got to build up, you know, maybe get the finishes in first and then build up to those point scores.
Yeah, certainly. Maybe getting a bit of confidence working with your teammate as well, since we last saw him recovering from the race ban that he got. Meech has left Shazoo. He's now joined TTG, so he's in the same community team stable as Christmas at the moment. They're both a long way down the order at the moment, 16th and 18th, and they are bottom of the championship. But who knows, they have shown pace on occasion. We might see them move up the order in this, and it is very quiet out on track at the moment. Only Meech and Leo. We're just seeing Oggiano and I think one of the Ferraris coming out as well. Now we're starting to see, as we'd expect, it's always around 2 minutes 30 to 3 minutes. The majority of the cars starting to head out there on the circuit and get ready for what will be their final runs.
It's an absolute gaggle cars. Duncan's actually in that famed P11 position at the moment. Whether he'll be happy to stay there will be an interesting question. But I suspect the fact that he's coming out now, I think he is going to try and push a bit further because he doesn't want to give his title rivals, you know, the breathing space of having a few cars ahead of him like that. So I think Duncan will be pushing it. I mean, he's only 3/10 off, and yet he's in P11.
That's just how close it is. I think that's why you can't try and aim for 11th place because of how close things are in the field. You think, oh, I'll set this lap, I'll be just outside the top 10, and you might end up 16th or 17th, and then things are obviously a lot more difficult, and it's very unlikely you'll get points barring a strange race. But yeah, Duncan, last season qualifying did tend to be his Achilles heel on occasion. Somehow was always trying to fight back from further on the grid, sometimes with help of Joost, who was his teammate, but in the end, of course, just missed out on the championship in the final race to Wilson Hughes, who did make his PC debut in the top tier the other night. Meech is just down slightly in the first sector at the moment, and that short shift in suggests to me that he's backed off on this lap. So let's see what CLG Leo can do. And again, a lot of drivers have gone out early. The majority of them seem to have backed off their laps, though.
Yeah, I mean, the AlphaTauris went out a little bit earlier than the rest. So Blizzard's about to side lap, Midnight's just behind him, and then he has, I believe that's Mitchie, who's actually no, Mitchie's actually going to encounter a lot of traffic. So yeah, he's probably going to have to back. Yeah, he has to back off there. So Christmas is going to be the third driver over the line. So yeah, Blizzard, man of the moment, 3 pole positions to start the season. So he'll be looking for his 4th pole position of the season. He's been. Oh, wait a minute. It looks like Blizzard is. He's invalidated immediately. I'm not sure he'll have enough time to get around again to do another lap, so that may be his qualifying session done. So in terms of AlphaTauri, it's all up to Midnight now. So what I think may happen is if Blizzard doesn't have enough time to get a lap done, and actually, no, I was going to say the old toe, but then I remember that's not allowed. So forget that thought.
Yeah, and I think with how close the drivers are, if anyone was attempting that, they'll definitely get spotted doing it. Here comes Asacombe then, coming through Cops at this moment in time. The Ferrari driver, actually, will head up to the Alfa Romeo. Shizuo Oggiano's gone fastest of everyone in the middle sector. He didn't improve in the first sector, so we'll see what he can do as he heads towards the line. Fusilo, he's invalidated his laps as well. Asacombe is flying through the middle sector. Track Evolution definitely seems to be helping them through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel as Oggiano gets himself up into second place. There could be lots of improvements to found here. Blizzard might just see himself dropping down the order.
Yeah, Midnight was the fastest of anybody in Sector 1. Improved in Sector 2 as well, but not the fastest. But yeah, Midnight looking very good at the moment. Attempting to find out. Asakome goes up to the P3. But we've got some big guns about to respond now. Here comes Midnight then to cross the line here at Silverstone. What's it going to be for Midnight? It's only P3. So Oggiano has a front row start. Purple in Sector 3, but the Sector 2 let him down. So Juice then heading towards the Vale. Let's see what Juice can do. The championship leader in that Red Bull. As Benjamin puts it onto the front row with a 7.90, but here comes Juice over line. Can Juice respond to Benjamin's time? And he does with pole by 0.001.
Wow, you are not getting much closer than that. And Casper, he's heading towards the line now. He has improved in, well, there's all sorts of cars heading towards the line. We'll go through the Williams. Gamer comes into the pits. Will coming round the final corner now. He's improved in the first sector, down in the middle sector, so I can't see him getting into the top 10 with this lap. Yeah, and in the end, it is only a 0.004 of a second improvement. Casper coming around the final couple of corners. Can he challenge towards the front row? Gets himself up into 5th place. We have got, what is it, the top 7 drivers separated by a 1/10 of a second. I don't think I have ever seen that, especially on a track which, I mean, Silverstone's not exactly short. Austria next week, we'll be seeing times 20 seconds quicker than this, at least.
Yes, but there's not a lot of big braking zones here, so it does come down to the small margins, particularly in Sector 2, the high-speed corners there like Cops and Maggots, Beckett's, etc. But what a qualifying session to celebrate 10k subs today. Unbelievable stuff there from the top tier of PlayStation leagues on PSGL.
Yeah, 10,000 subs, and I think if this grid gets any closer, we're going to have to go down to 10,000ths of a second to start separating them. It is an all-Dutch front row, though. Joost on pole position. Benjamin, who seems to have found some form since becoming a full-time driver, he is in second place. Blizzard third, Ogiano in fourth. Great qualifying from him. Casper finding some more form in fifth. Midnight is sixth. Asacombe is followed by the two Alpines of M. Short and Leo. Duncan, 10th position in the end. 0.13 seconds off of pole position. Georges, he'll be looking to see what he can do from 11th, perhaps on the alternate strategy, as will Mitchie, Danieko, Jackita, Gamer, Willow J, Fusilio, Christmas, Suso, Xander, the only driver not to set a time. Incredibly close, as I think we expected, and the top guns in your Joost and your Blizzard, they're up there, but then you've got some a bit further down the order, like Shizuo Giano, 20th in the championship at the moment, Asacombe, 14th in the championship, Benjamin 21st in the championship. Again, some of those names you wouldn't expect towards the top of the order. It could be a mixed up podium again, and maybe even another day for the underdog.
Yes, I think what happens, Luke, is at the start of the season we had a clear group of drivers who had a big pace advantage over the rest, but it seems to me, based on the last few qualifying sessions, overall the whole grid has closed up on each other. So it is making it more difficult to get those results, and that's why these qualifying sessions, increasingly as the season goes on, particularly at tracks like this and Austria coming up, are going to be so important.
Blizzard, I can't imagine he'll be a bit gutted that he's starting in P3, but he seems to have found that qualifying form again, and he was fastest after the first two runs, so I can't imagine he's too worried about that. He'll just be hoping, obviously, that he can keep it clean in the race and not pick up any penalties.
Yes, I mean, this is one of those tracks where if you fall out of your rhythm, Luke, you can pick up a lot of time penalties. You know, it's fast corners, you know, the exit of Cops, which is a lot more stricter than it used to be, shall we say, on previous games. And the exit of Stowe, of course, easy to run that. And, you know, in the stewards, they will be watching that like a hawk. You don't want to repeatedly run wide of those two corners, because if you're reported, you can risk yourself getting a time penalty.
Yeah, you can. Even if the game doesn't get you, the stewards might just afterwards. And there's plenty of corners where you can get it wrong around Silverstone. A very technical high-speed circuit. 5.891 kilometres, 3.660 miles, 2 DRS zones down the Hanger Straight and the Wellington Straight. And, of course, we've got the Hamilton Straight for the first time in 2021. But I can't imagine too many drivers will be going for moves into Abbey. Those are the tyres that everyone is on. Interesting that Xander, who I'm not actually sure if he's in the session properly at the moment, because he didn't set a time in qualifying, and he is starting on the soft tyres, and he looks very ghosted on my screen.
He ghosted for me, yeah. I think he came out for one run, he invalidated, perhaps he's having some equipment problems of some kind. Yeah, I didn't see him actually disconnect, unless I missed that under one of the other messages, but yeah, that's a shame for the reigning F2 champion. Hopefully, if he has disconnected, he can rejoin before the race starts. Otherwise, it's going to be another non-score for him.
Yeah, let's not forget, we have got the TAS system, of course. If you use !HELP and then jump over at the top of the chat to the live chat, that will give you all the help settings. YouTube seems to have nerfed the bot ever so slightly, so they don't come up in the top chat, but they do come up in the live chat. This is looking to be a very good race. You've got Joost on pole position, first time, I believe. I'll just check very quickly before I make a fool myself. Second time this season after Holland, and he did get the pole position. Well, the podium there in a victory. Benjamin, another good qualifying from him. He'll be looking to redeem himself after a mistake last time out. And Blizzard, he wants to lay a marker down in this championship. He doesn't want Joost to take another victory after the start of this season, because Joost is the only one to get multiple wins so far. Blizzard won't want to let the Dutchman get to 3 wins before anyone else has had a chance to get to 2.
No, exactly. Yeah, Joost has had the only multiple winner this season, but, you know, Benjamin usually has a reputation for making lightning starts off the grid in the past, so if Joost doesn't get the best start, then we could see side-by-side action. It should be flat out into the first corner.
Yeah, it can. Red Bull's just bookending the grid at the moment. Xander pulls in to his last slot. Joost is in the first slot of the grid, as we've already got a bit of a timing glitch, which suddenly fixes itself. We are getting ready then. 5 lights are on here at Silverstone. And we are underway for the British Grand Prix. Seems like a pretty good start there from Youst. I think Benjamin just covering off Blizzard at this moment in time. So all pretty even as they head through the first part of the track. A few cars running wide in the background, but nothing to seriously worry about at this first part. But it is Youst, Benjamin, Blizzard, Shizu Ogiano. You've got Mercedes there of Casper battling with Asacombe, I think, just trying to keep his way ahead of the Ferrari at the moment. They're going to be go side by side. Midnight and M-Short making the tiniest bit of contact, and now Casper's turning defence into attack as he looks one way, then the other, round the outside at Brooklands. That's a brave one to do at any point in the race, never mind lap one. And now you're seeing, Midnight and Asacombe, I think, have made contact. The Ferrari is a long way off the track. We've got a spinner, I think,
Leo
in the background as well of Leo, so he's managed to recover, I believe, without any damage. And that's Willow G facing off at Woodcote as well. Plenty of drama, you could see, throughout the field at this moment in time, but no change in the top three drivers, Youst, Benjamin and Blizzard.
Yeah, Ogiano attempted to make a move down the inside of Blizzard into loop, and they made slight contact, and that's what compromised his exit onto the end of sector 1, and that allowed Casper to make that attack. But it was actually pretty good defense from Ogiano to sort of cut the line off there and not allow the move up into Luffield. But yeah, there was a bit of argy-bargy in the midfield, and that's why Leo ended up off the grass at Luffield and dropped all the way down to P15.
Yeah, I think Midnight and Asacombe as well. It was just drivers fighting for the same piece of racetrack. As you see, it happens so often on Formula 1. Asacombe has major front wing damage, so does Suso, and you can see there Suso decides after that 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane and having started on the medium tyres that he doesn't think this is worth his time anymore, so he has retired from the race. Will has very minor front wing damage, 1%, so I doubt he'll be coming into the pits on this lap. But yeah, very exciting first lap of the race. We will get the position changes up then for you at this moment in time. You can see their biggest loser, unsurprisingly, is Leo. He's battling with Christmas at the moment. Biggest winner, Xander, from the back of the grid. Because there we go, Will LG just trying to recover up the order. And I wonder if Leo's had a slight mistake again, because he has dropped a long way off once more.
Yeah, perhaps all that time on the grass, unable to sort of, get that off the tyres, and he's made another mistake. And yeah, Willow G easily getting past him. So yeah, Leo's having some issues. I'm not sure.
Front wing damage.
Yeah,
just see it there.
But I think that could be more than just drive error. I think he may be having some sort of issue, because he is on wheel, I believe. So maybe he's having some issues with that. Because that seems unusual to me.
Yeah, very possibly. You can see him running extremely wide, as you would expect, of course. No assists for the top 5 tiers in PSGL, so it's incredibly hard to drive on this game with no front wing and no assists. Trust me, I've had probably had more practice driving with damage than I have without damage, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Danirko in 11th at the moment, just outside the points. Georgia's leading this train on the medium tyres, and what is the good news for all of them? They've stayed in contact with the leaders.
Yes, a good pace with Georges and Mitchie so far. Just looking at some of the winners and losers so far in this particular race. 2 places gained with Duncan, that's pretty key, from P10, and Georges has gained 2. So some of that contact in the midfield has really gained. Xander has gained 5, but I don't think he's in the lobby. So yeah, he's still not here. Christmas has dropped off a long way from the back, because he's had an off somewhere. And the top 5 is as you were. And just having a look, yeah, the pace of the top 5 very evenly matched. It's literally 1.5 tenths on that previous lap between Juice, Benjamin and Blizzard.
Yeah, things are looking very close indeed. We are on board then with the McLaren of Benjamin, looking for his first podium of the season. The former F2 champion won the F2 championship in the last season that they raced around the Silverstone circuit in season 27, and it's the classic dirty air that you get around a lot of circuits, and especially Silverstone. You can get fairly close. You can see he's just less than about 3.5 tenths behind, but as we come through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, I was expecting him to drop back a tiny bit more. Only dropped back by about nearly a tenth of a second through there, but that might be enough to mean he can't get close enough into Stowe. You can see him closing in on the back of Yost, and yeah, can't quite get close enough this time around. And that's always been the problem around Silverstone, even with the DRS. It's not really, with it not being heavy braking zones into Stowe, into Brooklands, doesn't really negate the dirty air too much, and doesn't make it that easy for an overtake to happen.
No, I mean, the pattern of this race in the last few years has often been like this. DRS trains early on, then as the strategies play out, you get sort of a splitting of the pack. One of the interesting elements of this, though, because there's been so many incidents in the midfield, some of these cars further back, there is a potential now for some of these cars to drop into traffic when they pit early. So the leading drivers are definitely going to have to think about that before they make their first stop.
Yeah, definitely. We said we're late for the first stop as well. We're talking about 25, 26 second pit loss here. There's 15 seconds separated the top 17 and the main train of 14 cars are 6.7 seconds at the moment. So you're not really anywhere near the point you're thinking about the pit stop. And here's a man who's finding himself stuck at the moment. Duncan, probably not in a great place after starting 10th. He's aside from Xander, who we believe is out of the session, he's the last car on a set of the soft tyres. So he's going to find things starting to get difficult. Pit stops probably happening round about, well, you might see them happen early around here. We can see pit stops sometimes happen as early as lap 6, lap 7 if you want to get rid of that set of soft tyres pretty early on, but probably more likely pushing it to lap 10, lap 11 for a pit stop change. You can see here Duncan on the back of Midnight. He's close to the car in front, but again, especially with the DRS, it's just not going to happen this time around. He's not going to be able to get that move done, as Benjamin again got close to the back of Yost. Just has to stay patient, just has to wait for the strategy around here, just has to wait for maybe the weather, you could say, to do anything around Silverstone. But I can tell you, it is going to be beautiful sunshine all the way through the race.
Yeah, as George sets the fast lap of the race. So that's an indication that the softs are sort of reaching the end of the best. As Midnight has a wobbly moment out of farm there, and there goes Duncan round the outside through the loop and up into P7. So just like that, only takes a little mistake, and you know, Midnight got it controlled, so it didn't have any massive consequences, but he has nonetheless lost the place.
Yeah, and now he's going to find that frustration of seeing yet another car ahead of him. Duncan not exactly getting close to the apex there through Brooklands. You can take various lines through Brooklands and Luffield. You see it more in the race, obviously, as the drivers are jostling for position. But yeah, Midnight just needs to settle himself down now. George's in that 9th place, still staying in contact. Fusilio, you can just see going through the background there, going through Woodcut, has dropped off a very tiny bit, as now Leo sets the fastest lap of the race on no fresh medium tyres. So if he did have an equipment issue, definitely looks like he has managed to get it sorted. And here's the view from the back of Yost of that entire train coming through Chapel. And Benjamin, he's getting close. This is closest he's been, but I think again, it's just not quite close enough. There's not a long enough braking zone into Stowe there. And I think if you were in an F2 or an F3 car, where you obviously have to brake a lot longer, you'd be sending one down the inside.
I tell you what though, Benjamin is getting closer and closer each lap. We've got yellows in Sec 2. Yeah, it looks like Asakome has gone off. Yeah, it's gone off the exit Luffield. But yeah, Benjamin is getting closer and closer under that second DRS zone each lap. So Eustace has been taking a very liberous line, shall we say, out of the end of the Maggots Beckett's complex, going onto the grass, and that's been sort of ruining his exits just a little bit. If he takes, you know, a little bit too wide, and I think Benjamin has got a chance. To me, Benjamin looks the faster driver at the moment.
Yeah, we saw this quite a bit last week, where ironically I think it was Benjamin leading and the cars behind him, Midnight and some of the others, looked very fast indeed. I think Asakome is just going to be heading back towards the pits, as judging by the track map, he's making up his own circuit, almost resembling what they used to do around Silverstone at the moment. The Ferrari driver, he has got some front wing damage, so he'll be coming into the pits as, oh, that is Will just getting ahead of Xander there. I thought I was going to get excited, but that is of course still the AI car, and we'll see what Yost does this time around. Again, it's about 3.5 tenths of a second coming into the start of that part of the section, and yeah, keeps going on the grass. That can't be good for traction through there, but Blizzard, Benjamin, I was to say, and Blizzard as well, they're closing in, still just can't quite get close enough as Asakome becomes our second retirement of the race.
Ogiano's gone mega wide out of Stone. That's going to give Casper half an opportunity to go round the outside into the Vale. He's got really late on the brakes there, and he's going to get the move done the inside on Club Corner. Ogiano's trying to fight it, but he's been forced off the road. And yeah, that was always going to be Casper's move once he got to that position. Ogiano's going to try and come back at him as they head through Abbey once again. Fast left and right. Here comes Ogiano. He's going to try and dive around the inside, but no, he thought better of it. So that is Casper's move. Job done.
Yeah, great move from Casper, getting himself up into 4th place there. As Ogiano has another bit of a moment there, and that might actually give Duncan a chance. M Short's been the first man to blink. He's coming to the pits, clearly fed up of being stuck in this train. Duncan's going to have to go all the way around the outside of Brooklands. This will give him the inside for Luffield if he can manage to pull it off. It looks like he's just got about enough of his car ahead of Ogiano to fully be able to close that line off there. And Duncan, Ogiano's off into the wall, almost into the old pit lane. Get it stopped before the fire truck, just about. He's got front wing damage, so he'll be getting rid of those softs, and he retires Not the smartest thing to do, that retiring out on track, I must say.
Yeah, well, that's his frustration. Suddenly, the rear of tyres on that just completely gone. And once you start getting the temperatures up on those tyres, it's really hard to get them back down. And that led to that unforced error. As, again, Benjamin gets desperately close, but not in position to make an overtake. So, yeah, 3 retirements now from this race. To make that 4 because of Xander's disconnect. So I think the leaders will be thinking about a pit stop. I would say, looking at the way the times are starting to drop quite a bit, I think even Use might be thinking about a pit stop at the end of the next lap.
Yeah, I think we'll be seeing a few drivers coming to the pits. Short, as we said, he was the first one to sort of blink in the middle of that soft running train, clearly feeling like he had nothing to lose. He's got plenty of free air at the moment. He's realistically got about 13 seconds before he catches up to Will LG, who is the next human controlled car at this moment in time. But yeah, the Mercedes, they've managed to find their way up the order, partly because of mistakes from other drivers. We saw that from Midnight, and we've seen that just from Oggiano, as again Benjamin, he's getting close. I wonder, maybe he's either A, got to wait till the pit stops roundabout now, which wouldn't be the worst thing to do, and judging by the ERS levels of these drivers at the front, they're all sort of waiting for the pit stop period, or just think about a different part of the track, maybe into the loop where you can go for a move.
Yeah, Blizzard got an amazing run out of Woodcote, and he was right on the back of Benjamin before having to back off into Copse. But yeah, suddenly Blizzard looking quite alive this one. The top 3 have managed their battery very nicely, no issues there, particularly the race leader, given how much pressure he's been under. He's not had to use that much of his battery, which suggests he has an extremely good straight line setup. But Benjamin using a lot more battery now, and this is definitely a chance for the move. Here comes Benjamin down the inside. Will Blizzard try to overtake the 2 title rivals side by side here, trying to follow through, but no, Juice was saying, no, I'm not having any of that nonsense. I'm staying in P2 for the time being.
Yeah, definitely there. Blizzard almost trying to take a very opportunistic move, but yeah, Benjamin looked for closest he'd been through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, and it paid off. Casper's coming to the pits, Midnight's coming to the pits, Fusilio, I think he must have picked up damage somewhere because he's coming off a set of the medium tyres. He'll have to go onto the hards if he wants to get to the end of this race from there, because a 2-stop strategy absolutely ridiculous around here with the length of the pit lane. Again, Blizzard, he takes that wider entry into the loop that straightens up the apex, means he can get on the power early. And look how close he is to the back of Yost here. He might still be able to dive one up the inside, but can't quite get enough of his car ahead. And I think this lap we're definitely going to see a lot of these soft runners come into the pits. None of them have to worry about double stacks really, as we've seen Midnight and Casper coming to the pits. That frees up obviously Blizzard and Duncan not to have to worry about what is happening to their teammates, but things are starting to look pretty spicy.
Well, I'm going to make you aware of something. M. Shaw has actually jumped Casper at Midnight with the undercut. And so that means, if that's the pace of the mediums, M. Shaw, Casper at Midnight could potentially be right on top of the top 3 when they, and indeed Duncan as well, when they all pit.
Yes, certainly. Blizzard very close to the back of Hughes, just losing out with the DRS at this moment in time, so he's not going to be able to make a move. And I think we're going to see, Blizzard, I think Benjamin and Yost were trying to dummy each other there, and in the end they decided to both come into the pits. Blizzard stays out for one more lap. He needs to be careful. He'll have fresher softer tyres, he'll have fresher medium tyres I should say, than everyone else. It's just whether he loses out on the undercut. But already look how much ERS he used. He's going to be pushing like a madman on this lap to try and negate that effect. Of course, as we see Casper down the inside of M Short, so he's managed to get back ahead of him as Christmas does a bit of a Valtteri Bottas impression, just cutting some of the lovely lawns we've got here at Silverstone.
Yeah, and Benjamin Hughes and Duncan, as you were, the pit garage is doing a stellar job, but where's Casper going to be? He's on the start finish line. This is going to be incredibly close as they come out of the pit exit. I think Casper's going to gain at least 1 or 2 positions here. Look at that, McLaren's coming out. Where's he going to feed in? I think it's going to be into P2 for Casper, so Casper's done an absolutely brilliant job.
Yeah, fantastic undercut there from Casper, and he's used to what these tyres feel like now. Benjamin's got to have a bit of a lap of getting used to them. They are fantastically skilled drivers, of course, but he might have a bit less confidence at some part of the circuit, as that is Crispus getting well out of the way of all these drivers. I think he's got severe damage, and that might be it over then for his race. Blizzard's absolutely flown on this lap. He was about 2.5 seconds ahead of, I think it was George's coming at the start of this lap. He's now got it up to 3.1 seconds. We'll get the gap up to the leaders. He's 28 seconds ahead of Benjamin. He's clearly trying the overcut here, and he just might make it work as he dives into the pits.
Oh, it's going to be tight though. I don't know about this. I think he could get undercut by the loss of this gaggle of cars. But as use, they don't want to fight too much because that could stop them making this undercut work on Blizzard, who the final of the soft runners to legitimately pit. Of course, Xander's still out there, but isn't actually racing. As Casper has a little look at Benjamin, you know, but decides, yeah, I'm not going to fight now. Let's wait to see because we want to try and undercut Blizzard to gain another position.
Yeah, certainly. They obviously need to work together at this part of the race to try and stop Blizzard, because that was a blistering in-lap by the AlphaTauri car. Another yellow flag, and I think that's just Crispus, who retires on his way into the pit lane there. Midnight does set the fastest lap of the race. This is going to be pretty close on the exit. It's going to be very close indeed. Benjamin gets ahead of Blizzard, who maintains second position. Great work by Blizzard to get ahead of Casper, Joost, and all those drivers. Duncan dives one down the inside of M Short, and I think Midnight's going to follow through after setting the fastest lap of the race. But a fantastic in-lap by Blizzard, who's now having to defend from Casper. He's going to try and go the long way round at Brooklands. I don't think he's got enough of his car ahead here, so he's just going to be shown the exit there on the curb. Yellow flag in Sector 2. That's one of the Alpines. I think it is Leo. Has spun it coming out of the final corner, and Blizzard and Casper battling like crazy at this moment in time, and this might allow Benjamin just to escape ever so slightly.
Oh, this is shaping up to be an epic race. They are going hammer and tong, and we've still got about half the race to go here. This is unbelievable. I mean, this is not your typical DRS train. They're not holding anything back at this stage. You do get the sense it will calm down after a few more laps, but I do feel if Blizzard's going to win this race, he's got to make a move sooner or later.
And I think he's going to be making it sooner. Definitely. There goes Benjamin, not really bothering to defend that move. Now he goes a bit tight with Blizzard down the inside. Goes the AlphaTauri. That was a fairly straightforward move in the end for Blizzard. He takes the net lead of this race. Joost sending one down the inside of Casper. The two VSR drivers, the two Dutchmen, battling each other at this moment in time. Xander's AI comes into the pits and gets well out of the way. He wouldn't have been holding them up. It would just be a bit of a distraction, of course. But we've got all sorts of battling going on. And at this moment, this train for the lead of this race. 7 cars at this moment in time, but it is Blizzard in the net lead, and he's got the fresher tyres. Let's see what he can do. Let's see how he copes, and we know how good he is. Let's see how he copes, soaking up the pressure.
Yeah, but Juice getting a much better exit out of the loop. Casper feeling he's going to have to defend this. Is Juice going to go down? It's on his finish. Yes, he does. Slight contact, wheel banging between the two, and Juice forces his way through.
Yeah, and that is Leo out of the race. It looks like he's gone straight on, almost at Stowe there. I wonder if that could cause a safety car, which would obviously cause all sorts of chaos at this moment in time, as we've got the battle for the net lead of the race. We've got the battle for the actual lead as well, and I think Mish, a bit annoyed that the safety car didn't come out there. Well, a bit annoyed that the yellow flags were there as well, because that did ruin any chance he had of maybe getting a move done on George. So he's just looking like he's sliding those rears ever so slightly at this moment in time. Do not count out those soft runners for some very good performances as well later on. Well, when they go onto the softs at the end of the race, they could be very quick as well. They're going to come out, if they pit, and now a couple of seconds behind M Short, but we've seen how good they might be able to be, and we might see some fantastic overtakes as Joost again close to Benjamin. This is going to be interesting. We've seen Joost doing a good job at defending earlier on. Let's see what he's like now that he's got to go onto the attack. If things finished as they were, and I am including the top 6 drivers coming into the pits in all of this, Joost would still be leading the championship, but only by 2 points.
I know, it's incredibly tight at the moment. I don't think these cars will catch Will LG before the pit stops at the rate they're going. They're lapping probably 4, maybe 5 tenths a lap quicker than LG at the moment. 7th downwards, of course. Midnight and M Short are really struggling to hang on to the back of the 5 cars ahead of them. So if they're not careful, they will be dropped behind. Midnight has improved his pace on the last lap to get himself within a second once again. But yeah, it's going to all depend how quickly those soft runners, when they come in, the top 5 at the moment. I think we can count LG out, unfortunately, because of his ends early on. So it's those 5 drivers. What effect will they have on this race? They'll be chasing down all these medium runners from Blizzard onwards at the end of the race. So I have no idea who's going to win the race at this point. And, you know, it's been pretty immaculate. Hardly any warnings out there at this stage.
Yeah, I think if you do get caught, if you do drop off the back of this train, I think you are just going to get gobbled up by those who are currently yet to pit once they come onto a set of these soft tyres. There was a move further up. Game has managed to get his way ahead of Jack Eater, so he's up into 4th place. We see this a few times from Game, who just seems to come alive in the second half of the race. Joost very close to the back of Benjamin, not going for a move into Vale yet. I think as the laps tick down, we'll see a few more drivers think about going for one into Vale. Maybe even think about going one into the loop section as well. Lap number 14, so 13 laps gone, 13 to go. Well, we're pretty much ignoring the top 6 at this moment in time, because the battle for who will be the top 6 after the pit stops as Joost very deep there, almost into the back of Benjamin.
Oh, goodness me. I literally leant back from my seat as Juice went really deep into that corner. Just about avoided the rear of the McLaren. Hasn't cost him too much time, luckily, and Casper wasn't close enough to take any real advantage, so it's as you were. But yeah, Juice won't want to have that moment a few times, otherwise he'll have no hair left.
Yeah, I think definitely once the tyres get a bit more worn as well, I think if you're doing that one, that's a lock-up and could well take yourself and the car in front of you out of this race. Georgia seems to have pulled a tiny bit of a gap out of Mitchell now. He was struggling earlier to keep him behind. He's got it up to half a second there, so doing a reasonable job as he now comes into the pits, and I think we've seen a few more medium runners, I believe, starting to come in as well. Georges and Michi and Daneko and Jack Eaton all coming into the pits, so they'll be coming out on the soft tyres round about where Fusilio is on the moment. Gamer's still got pace, it is though. He sets the fastest lap of the race, but on board with Duncan. He's on the back of his teammate Casper. These two, obviously both Dutch, obviously both part of VSR, teammates on this. Oh, is it too early for them maybe to think about the championship? Because so far, just with the way the results have gone this season, Duncan obviously has a lot more points than Casper at the moment. It's 33 for Duncan. It is currently 10 for Casper. So perhaps might be worth swapping around later on.
Yeah, I mean, Duncan's definitely looking quicker than Casper at the moment, as Juice, again, looks for half a move on and brakes a little bit earlier this time, not to avoid the back of the McLaren. So yeah, I have to say, I was expecting the gap to those soft runners to be a little bit higher than it is, but actually they're only a few seconds behind. They'll be on the back of M Short in no time whatsoever. I mean, I think they've pitted maybe a lap earlier than I expected, but you know, the softs should go to the end from here, but they won't be at their best at the end. So it's going to be critical for likes of George and Michi that they get these moves done in the next, 8 or 9 laps, because by the end, the mediums will be coming back as the better tyre.
Another tiny error there from Joost. Just hit the curb coming through Loffield, and as you see happen so many times on this game, you hit that inside curb as you're struggling for a bit of traction and the car will slide. He did hold it together. He is right on the back of Benjamin here. Almost close enough that he can almost touch the back of that McLaren, but that just loses him out in the dirty air. This is very close though to the back of Benjamin. I think he might be close enough to try and go for a move here. Benjamin does decide to defend this time. Joost thinks about it round the outside. That puts Benjamin on a suboptimal line. He does comfortably hold on to that position, so stays in what is now 4th position, still in a net second as the two Williams battle on a tiny bit longer. Perhaps Gamer feeling a bit like you, Mark, feeling like those soft tyres won't be in too good of a condition at this end of the race, but you can see how close they are as we go on board with Georges, who is the lead soft runner. You can almost make out which cars are ahead of him, not just the fact that there are some cars ahead of him.
Yeah, I think in 2 laps they'll be right on the back of M Short. But for M Short Midnight, it was critical that they stay on the back of this queue, and they now have something to defend with. Now Juice trying to get onto the back of Benjamin once again, but not able to make a move this time around. But yeah, the pace of Blizzard, it's going to be interesting when they cross the line to see what the pace in comparison is to the soft runners. I think it'll be at least 1.5 seconds faster, Georges, when they cross round. But yeah, I think Gamer will more than likely be at the back of that sort of medium queue, but he'll have a tyre advantage at the end.
Yeah, this is it's going to be interesting to see how he does, because he did set the fastest lap a couple of laps ago when the other drivers came in off the pits off their mediums. So he clearly, a bit like Blizzard perhaps, saving a bit left in those tyres. We'll go through the warning situation quickly. So Blizzard has 1 warning, Benjamin has 2, Joost has 1, Casper and Duncan, fair play to the Mercedes and to Midnight, they have no warnings, and Georges has 2. So they're like the top 8 once the pit stops pan out. That is the warning situation at the moment, so they're all keeping it very clean. It's rare with 10 laps to go you see a completely clean penalty board on the left hand side, so fair play to all the drivers.
Yeah, don't speak too soon, my friend. There's plenty of laps to go. You may have just cursed them. But yeah, no, they've all driven immaculately so far, particularly those in the leaders, as Michi sets the fast lap at 1:28. Well, that is significantly fast. I think Blizzard's last time was, let's have a look, at 1:28. 7.36. So yeah, 7.10. Not as fast as I think, but that's because they're running in the dirty air of that group of cars ahead. But yeah, still significantly faster. So how quickly they can clear the likes of Mitch. And here comes Use, getting a much better exit than Benjamin. Benjamin's surely going to have to go defensive. He's too late to go defensive now on the inside. Oh, and Benjamin's gone very deep. He did a similar thing to Use, and that will make it nice and easy for Use to get ahead. So now the top two in the championship running third and fourth.
Yeah, very, very close indeed there. Benjamin nearly taking out Blizzard, and that would have been an awkward conversation to have after the race. I can't imagine Big C would have been too over-enamoured with Benjamin if he'd have done that, but he's now down into that net third place. And what can Hughes do now that he's on the back of Blizzard? Because that's one of the few overtakes we've seen where you've just done a pure DRS pass on the car in front when they've got DRSs now. What can he do on the back of Blizzard? He's not close enough this time around to go for a move. Still Duncan on the back of Casper further back, still keeping it at a couple of attempts of a second. And this from Casper, half-heartedly perhaps showing his nose there to Benjamin, deciding not to go for the move as Mitchie gets himself ahead of Georges. If these drivers start battling, this could hold them up, of course, these soft runners, and they don't want to do that too much. But it has definitely allowed Georges and Mitchie have escaped from the others. And I'm surprised how long Gamer and Will are going before coming into the pits.
That seems a team decision to me. Maybe looking for a late safety car, which would be absolutely massive. Maybe nothing to lose, and they've had some M-Shot dives down the inside of Midnight. They'll go side by side into the loop. Midnight will have the advantage of the inside and maintains P8.
Yeah, will he be able to maintain it here? Because that's definitely one heck of a tow that M-Short was getting there, and he's really close. He's going to try and brave in all the way around the outside. Midnight just, I think, stays enough ahead, although M-Short doesn't know when he's giving in here. Needs to be careful that there isn't any contact. Midnight just goes slightly wide. M-Short down the inside, and now it's a straight drag race coming through Woodcut, coming through Corpse. It's for shorter line, though, for the Alpine. Midnight's still there, but I think he is going to have to yield. Keep it careful, lads. And M-Short just stays ahead for now. But, of course, this battling, they're not too far off dropping off the back of Duncan and Casper and all those drivers, which have been music to the ears of the soft runners. So things are getting very interesting indeed. Yost not close enough to get ahead of Blizzard this time around. Benjamin the closest he's been for a bit. Just too far behind, I think, though, for both of them to get that move done. As Gamer and Will, I mean, like you said, there's definitely some tactical decision there to just go as long as possible and then hope for that late safety car.
It's not working for the soft runners at the moment. They're spending so much battery and time battling each other. Because by now, I would have thought they would have been well on the back of that cube, but they're just not. They're not lapping that much quicker because Georges and Mitchie have both taken each other twice. It's not been smart from those two. And they're sort of playing themselves out of contention, unless we get a load of penalties, of course, on a podium at this point, because the best of their soft tyres, because of the time that they pitted, will be gone not in the not too distant future.
I mean, Georges has finally got himself onto the back of this train as we go on board there with Yost. He's getting close to Blizzard, but I feel like I've said this a few times, not close enough. And I think just how close those guys who pitted earlier have been, of course. They're all in one train. You haven't got the straggler that hasn't got DRS that you can just pick off easily and make your way to the next car. They've had to push like crazy because Georges and Mish, on alternate lapses, it seems, haven't had the DRS. They've now got onto the back, and you can see how much they've held each other up because they were 2 seconds ahead of Dan Irko, and he's now got that gap down to 1.3 seconds. And now that Georges and Michi are going to get held up, they'll all close up onto the back of them, and we're almost going to have resembling the start of the race, except the front runners are going to be on the mediums and the cars further back are going to be on the soft tyres. So very strange things going on here. Slightly different race to what we are used to seeing here at Silverstone. Casper again looking hungry on the back of Benjamin. 6 laps to go at the end of this one. Well, I should say, yeah, 6 laps to go at the end of this one for Gamer. You've got Blizzard, Yost, Benjamin, Casper, and the rest of the field are just coming on to lap 20. At some point, they're going to start going for it in places that the others might not be expecting. I think we're going to start seeing some fantastic overtakes fairly soon.
Yeah, I mean, this is a holding pattern. This is very usual stuff for this particular race when the field is so close. You know, Juice and Blizzard, they've had like 100% battery for several laps now, so they're biding their time. I think Juice is going to have all the advantages, assuming he doesn't make a mistake and fall into the clutches of Benjamin and Casper behind. But yeah, Juice is waiting for the last possible moment to launch an attack. The last couple of laps, I would say. I won't expect him, unless Blizzard makes a massive mistake out of the Maggots and Beckett's complex, to go for a move until lap 25 at least.
Yeah, they're all looking very good on their ERS. Blizzard and Yoast were both at high percentages through there. Casper and Duncan quite high as well further back. Benjamin 90+% as he comes through Cop. So similar to the start of the race, they sort of fell into this holding pattern now, just waiting for things to happen. But unlike at the start where you had 26 laps remaining, you've got about 6 laps remaining now, and you're going to have to start going for the moves as finally, Gamer comes into the pits, gets rid of that set of the medium tyres. He'll be going on to the softs. He can get the fastest lap, but he is going to be a long, long way off the back of the field. As there's some side-by-side action there. Casper and Benjamin nearly coming to blows. Benjamin just stays ahead in 5th position for now. And you can see George's just pulling out at the back of Midnight there. He's now starting to find the frustration. He's used the best of the soft tyres, catching these drivers up, and he's not got a lot to fight with at the moment.
Well, Game is going to drop to the back of this queue behind Yakita and Fusilo. I think they were definitely looking for a late safety car, but that hasn't come. So, yeah, Game is going to probably struggle to get into the points now from here, but he will have a massive tyre advantage. So, definitely a favourite to get the fastest lap for sure.
Yeah, certainly. And Will now the only driver yet to pit. And if you ignore Will, you have got what is the entire field, apart from Will, separated by 8.6 seconds with 6 laps to go. You don't get that too much. You don't get that too much in league racing, never mind real Formula 1. It has been an exceptionally close race at the moment. Will still leading, yet to come into the pits, and it is Blizzard, Yoast, Benjamin, Casper, Duncan, M-Shot, Midnight, Georges, Mitchie, your top 10 drivers at the moment. Dan Erko just outside that. He's almost within DRS range. Jakita has got DRS off the back of him. Fusilio on those older softs. They're going to struggle to last towards the end of the race, I think, without perhaps getting a puncture. Fusilio, well, he's only on 48% at the moment, so they won't puncture, but they're not going to be feeling too fantastic towards the end, as very familiar scenes. Yoast gets close, not close enough. Is George's going to think about diving one up the inside of Midnight? He might have done a few weeks ago when he was in VRT. Now that he's in CRJ, got to be a tiny bit more circumspect.
Yeah, absolutely. But still a bit of a holding pattern going on here. Really interesting. I think Fusilo won't have a prayer of defending that position Game when he comes onto the back of him, because his softs will be screaming at the end of this race. He's dropped back significantly to Yakita, his teammate in OP. Deneko still in with a shot of a point, especially will be once Will LG pits, because I think he won't have the laps to get, I'm not sure Will LG's strategy is at this point, because he has, hang on, hasn't Will LG pitted already in this race?
Has Will LG already pitted? No, he did get damage on the first lap, but he has not.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, that would have been that would have made things very interesting indeed if Will LG had already pitted. Yeah. No, he hasn't. He got very minor front wing damage on the first lap, and that does normally affect you on this game, but it was so minor that even with it being a bit more harsher on 2021 than it was on 2020, in the end it wasn't worth it. Yoast got a bit closer to Blizzard there, coming out of the loop, taking that line that we saw the Alpha Tauri do earlier, that later apex of the corner, so he can straighten it up and get a bit of a better run. In the end, not able to do anything, but he is very close to the back of Blizzard, loses a bit through Chapel, but I think he's not using his ERS, and that says it all. He's probably not even going to bother going for the move, and I think he actually closed his DRS halfway down the straight there. They're definitely leaving it late, all these drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. They definitely are. I mean, we talked about that a few laps ago. UC is going to wait to the last possible moment to launch a full-scale assault on the lead for this race, which could have massive ramifications for the championship. I'm just wondering, how fast could Duncan go if he were allowed to swap positions? I think it's too early in the season for team orders, but yeah, I just feel like, I wonder if Duncan is regressing that qualifying just a little bit. If he'd qualified a little bit further up, I think he could really be up there fighting for this win. But as it is, he's just stuck behind his teammate.
Yeah, I mean, if we get the position changes at the moment, he has gained 4 positions. That'll become 5 once Will LG pits. And of everyone in the race, apart from Will, who's obviously yet to come into the pits, that is the most. So he has done a fantastic job working his way up. It is just costing him ever so slightly. Gamer gets ahead of Fusilio. He's up into 13th. It's not going to be any points, though, for what has been a bit of a valiant effort. Always worth trying something different when you're outside the top 10 and perhaps in that lower part outside the top 10. But yeah, not able to get any points, it seems like it. And Yoast, he has caught up again, but he did make another slight mistake coming through Luffield. And if Will doesn't come into the pit soon, he's either going to get disqualified or get interfering in this battle, as Blizzard went very wide through Chapel there, and this could be the chance Yoast has been waiting for. Is it going to go down the inside? It's going to get blocked off, so it's going to have to be the long way round. Red Bull versus AlphaTauri. Which one is going to come on top here at Silverstone? 4 laps to go. We said it was going to start getting interesting now. Down the inside into Vale. And Yost takes the lead of the race. A slight mistake through Blizzard coming through Chapel. And that was all the Red Bull driver needed. He now takes the lead. And he's got to defend again.
Yeah, the Red Bull driver getting a really good job. Fair play to Blizzard, left perfect spacing there. Very respectful racing. Use there in position for his 3rd win of the season as Casper makes a move down the inside of Benjamin, trying to make a move on. They're running out of time out there now. George is still not able to make any headway of this massive queue ahead of him. So the alternate strategy clearly has not been, for once, a really dominant strategy today.
Yeah, I think as Casper there again, he thinks about going down the inside of Benjamin. You've got to be pretty much be alongside before you get to Brooklands to have a go at the corner. And an interesting point from Dylan Warren. Mediums would do the entire race around Silverstone if you didn't have to pit. And of course, in dry conditions, you have to use 2 types of tyres. I have seen drivers do no-stop races in appalling wet conditions around here because the wet tyres will last and you don't have to do that. They are starting to catch Will up. I think at this rate it is going to be final lap of the race. They're going to be right on the back of him, which obviously would be good news for Yost as Blizzard. He's extremely close this time around, and I think might end up seeing the driver swap again. He's but by the looks of things, yeah, closed for DRS. Not interested to go for that move this time around.
Yeah, it's a real chess play from both of these players at the moment, looking for that checkmate position. We saw Blizzard do this so many times in the F1 2018 era, where he was easily the best driver in this tier, where he would just bide his time, spend lap after lap behind a driver and just pounce in the final few races. So this is a very familiar position to be the hunter, looking for that race win, just storing his ERS and waiting for the perfect time to strike.
Thank you to Carter Lundy, spending a lovely $6.99 Canadian dollars, getting in just in time here for the final couple of laps of the British Grand Prix. It's looking very interesting at the moment. Yost goes very defensive there to stop Blizzard trying to make one up the inside. These two are going to get very close if they're not careful. They could end up picking warnings. That's a definite Blizzard, almost like touring car bump to pass coming through Luffield there, and I think he realised Yost wouldn't be too happy about that, so it just backs off now. If Will gets a puncture right in front of these guys, that could cause absolute carnage. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but look how close Blizzard is. Is he going to try one round the outside of Maggots and into Beckett's? Surely not going to work, and he does have to hold off for now, but he's definitely got Yost rattled here.
He definitely has. He's been filling his mirrors, and he's got a much better exit out of Chapel, and he's going to go for lead down the inside. Yost didn't even fight it because he's got one more lap. But can Blizzard try and get, Will has to pit now, or it's a disqualification. You can't pit on the final lap, and there he goes. I mean, the safety car's never going to come out. I mean, valiant effort. Not really sure what the point of it was in the end, but that is the final point of it, and he retires from the race. He had a fine Sunday night drive for him. But here we go then, final lap here at Silverstone. Blizzard versus Yost, but can Benjamin or Casper do anything about it?
Yeah, I mean, if these two, one slight mistake from either of these, they're not scoring any points, and that could be huge for the championship. As it stands at the moment, I think the fastest lap is currently going to Gamer, who will not get a point as he's outside the top 10. As things stand at the moment, Blizzard would cut Yost's lead to 4 points in the championship. If Yost takes the win, he'll be 12 points ahead as he's going to close now, coming through Brooklands. Blizzard defends Yost. I'm surprised he's using a bit of DRS to go for the move there. We have got a yellow flag. That is just Will's car trying to return back to track. Fusilio ruins the penalty-free race. I don't think I've ever gone this late into a race seeing drivers not get any penalties, but Blizzard, he's got more ERS here by about 10 to 15% at the moment, and that could be crucial. That could negate the DRS that Yost is going to have on that run down towards Stowe. It is going to be so close between these two drivers. Flip of a coin which one of them is going to take the victory. Yost goes a bit wide through Beckett. That compromises his line into Chapel, and that could be enough to just mean Blizzard is far enough ahead. You can see the Red Bull driver here is closing. Blizzard has to go defensive. He's not gone defensive enough. Down the inside goes Yost into Stowe. Has he gone too deep? Blizzard's going to have the outside for Vale, but he's going to have the inside for Club. This is going to be so close on the final part of the race. They're almost pushing themselves round the final couple of corners, but it's going to be Yost who takes the victory here. Blizzard almost loses second on the line with a slight drift there. Benjamin in third place. Someone has a crash at the back. Casper, Duncan, M Short, Midnight, Georges, Mitchie and Danirko take the points. A fantastic finale to that race at Silverstone, and it's a third victory in a row well, third victory, I should say, of the season for Joost.
Well, for some reason Xander got driver of the day. I'm not sure about that. But what an incredible race and what has been an incredible season so far. I mean, it's just, you just don't know what's going to happen. And we've had our 11th different driver on the podium today. Benjamin with a fantastic race today.
Yeah, I think redeeming himself slightly from last time out. And I think Xander getting the driver of the day can be summed up by AI helping out. AI there. The game decides that, and the game basically just gave it to himself, seeing as he was disconnected all the way through that session. But it was his teammate Joost who takes the victory here. 3/10 of a second ahead of Blizzard. The top 5 drivers separated by 1 second after a 26-lap race. Incredible action. Blizzard getting second, Benjamin in third, Casper his best result of the season. Duncan drops a bit back in the championship battle, but it is still good points in 5th place. It was a good day for the Mercedes team. M Short's best finish in 6th, Midnight 7th, George is in 8th, Mitchie in 9th, Dan Irko rounding out the points. Jack Eater just outside. Gamer got the fastest lap, but in the end, strategy not working for the Williams drivers. Fusilio, a bit of a tough day in the office for him, having to piss early on the mediums, and those softs was just far too worn at the end. He's 13th. Xander was disconnected. Will retired on the final lap of the race, and then we saw Leo, Christmas, Shizuo Giano, Asacombe, and Suso retire from the race. Just absolutely fantastic. We knew it was going to kick off at the end of the race. I don't think we expected quite that much. Blizzard and Joost fighting extremely hard, but you've got to say extremely fair.
Yeah, I mean, you know, 2 of the best in the top tier. You know, Blizzard's one of the best of all time in PSGL F1, and just proved that again. Very respectful racing. But yeah, Joost, you know, top 3 in the championship last season. He's made steps forward. You know, 3rd win of the season. That's a big statement win from Joost, round 6. He's really, you know, last week wasn't the best race for him, but he's come back with a bang this week. And Blizzard, has to be said, has done as well. But, you know, Benjamin was very quick at Monza last week. Kind of fell apart in the second half of the race. But, you know, this week showed how much pace he's got. You know, that's, you know, 11 different drivers this season have been on the podium. I can't remember a season like this in a long, long time.
Yeah, and it seems to be all or nothing for podiums with Joost at the moment. Him and Blizzard are the only drivers to have 3 podiums, but every single one of Joost has been a win, and he got it from pole position today. Not the most straightforward win from pole position that we will ever see, and we saw the effect in that race of DRS trains just really killing those who were going for the alternate strategy. We were surprised by how close they came out to the cars in front, and I think we both thought these might have a chance here of getting some good overtakes done. But in the end, what with Georges and Mitchie battling each other, perhaps took the best out of the tyres. And then when they caught up to the train, they just had nothing left to really negate that advantage of the DRS.
Yeah, I mean, it was all down to ERS management in the closing few laps. But it was so, I mean, Blizzard, it looked like he had it covered. Then he just opened the door slightly, but it still took bravery of Joost to go for that smallest of gaps, and he did. And Blizzard left him the space. You know, I think some certain real-life drivers could learn a few things or two from, you know, racecraft like that. And, you know, long may it continue. I hope that sort of tyre battle continues with that sort of respect. But yeah, the one thing that is clear from today's race is that the alternate strategy just didn't work today. Once they got into that DRS train, because it didn't fragment, because the pace of the top 7 was so strong, they just were not able to make any sort of progress. So although they did gain some places, probably not as much as they would have probably had at other tracks.
Yeah, certainly. So we'll go through like a very quick provisional championship standings after this race. Joost is now on top with 58 points. He's extended that gap ahead of Blizzard, who is on 46. Duncan does still stay in 3rd place in the championship at the moment. I believe he's now on 30. I think he might be now on 37 points, I believe, at the moment, or 38. My math seems to have failed me at the moment, but they're still looking pretty good. We saw, I mean, there were a lot of drivers in that race. I'll be thinking, I didn't really put a foot wrong. It's just qualifying pretty much didn't decide exactly where you finished, but it decided which sort of bracket you could put yourself in.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, George's, you know, I think that George's and Mitchie could have done it a bit smarter. They wasted a few laps battling each other, and that took life out of their tyres, which they could have better used catching up the pack, which may have made a difference to gain a couple of places. And that could have even broken up the sort of top 7 and may have led to some more overtakes for the podium. But yeah, once they were there, they just got stuck. Now, I'm going to love you and leave you, Luke. My throat is absolutely killing me. I've had a sore throat pretty much the last 2 days. And this race, another exciting race, has murdered it even further. So I'm going to give it a rest and leave you to the interviews just this once. But I will be back next week. But thanks, everybody, for watching again. And amazing to get to the 10K subs today. It's just, we appreciate every single one of you who has done so and who watches these races every single week.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Mark. Hopefully you're back in full action next week for the Austrian Grand Prix, because that always seems to be an exciting race as well. And let's head over into the interview room, and we'll start with a man who took his third victory of the season. It is VSR Joost. Joost, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Fantastic battle, I've got to say, between yourself and Blizzard at the end of that race, taking up a well-deserved third victory from yourself, extending the lead of the championship. On paper, you took the win from pole position, and that makes it look fairly straightforward, but as we saw, it was anything but.
Yeah, I had a pretty good lap. Last sector a bit shit, but I was very happy with it. And then in the race, start was good. Soft stint wasn't really good. Pace was pretty low, but I didn't want to use any ERS because otherwise I will undercut by a lot of people. So, and then I think Casper goes in 1 lap earlier. Then he undercut me. Then I had to overtake him back pretty quick because Benjamin and Blizzard was in front of him. And then on the meter, I was pushing Benjamin and Blizzard, and then I think Benjamin made a mistake, so I could overtake him.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah, sorry, Joost. How crucial was it that you had to, like you said, get past Casper, get past Benjamin pretty quickly? Because obviously Blizzard being your main title rival, in the end you've extended the gap. But I imagine at that point, part of the thinking was, I don't want him to close the gap too much.
Yeah, it was very difficult to overtake, so I was very happy with that I could overtake Casper and Benjamin. So I had a chance to fight with Blizzard, and I think it was an insane fight and very clean from both of us. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, fantastic job from yourself. 3 wins so far this season. Still the only person to have multiple victories. 12-point lead in the championship. We're almost at the halfway point. I imagine you're feeling pretty good going into the next round at Austria.
I don't really like Austria, I think, but I'm gonna practice it and hopefully I got a good setup to drive very well next Monday.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. Congratulations on what was a fantastic victory for yourself, and we'll bring in the other main protagonist from that frenetic final couple of laps. It is CRG Blizzard. A brilliant job from yourself today. 2nd position. Your qualifying seems to be back on form. Just so close to that 2nd victory of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great race at the end with me and Juiced. But yeah, my pace seemed pretty good today. Quali, I mean, obviously I could have done better, but I cut down one of my last run, which was really stupid. And then the start was pretty good. I mean, I'd just been struggling with starts for a while earlier, so managed to fix that for the actual thing. And then just sat in the train, it was almost impossible to overtake in the DRS. I mean, obviously Juice was able to do it, which was really impressive, to be fair. And then I managed to overcut Juice. I'm not sure if he got held in the pits or not, but I managed to come out 2nd when I were extended by an extra lap and 2 on like my teammate and someone else.
Yeah, it was a fantastic job for yourself to make that overcut work when others were obviously trying to go for the undercut. Was that something you had in your mind before the start of the race, or just something that sort of thought on the fly, I might give this a try, the tyres still feel good?
Well, I knew the softs didn't drop off really, so I knew if I was going to extend, then it probably wouldn't be a bad idea. But the main factor was that I was going to try and pass Juiced when Benjamin passed him, and then I would have pitted because I wouldn't have been held. Yeah, but if I pit behind Juice, then he would hold me because I'm a later pit box than him. So since I wasn't able to get past Juice, I stayed down an extra lap and hoped that my pace was good enough to overcome a couple of people.
Yeah, it definitely was. It's shaping up to look like a fantastic championship battle. 12 points behind now, so still within a race victory after 6 races. Things are still very close. How do you feel heading into the next round at the Austrian Grand Prix?
Well, Austria is just going to be more of the same as this one, except there's curbs which are more deadly this game. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. I guess it's not a particularly good track for me, but Juice says it's not for him either. So
yeah, definitely. So congratulations on what was an absolutely fantastic battle. One of the best I've commentated on in a long, long time. And who knows, might be speaking to you again next week.
hopefully.
And we're going to bring in the man who we haven't spoke to so far this season, the 11th different driver that we have spoke to. It is CRG Benjamin. Last week, I imagine you were pretty disappointed after leading the race at Italy, having that spin. Definitely recovered today in top form. So close, in the end, even so close to picking up second place, maybe even a victory.
Yeah, I think the top 5 at similar pace today. I was taking it pretty cautiously today because I just wanted the podium and some good points finally, and not bin it again like last week.
You seem to have been a changed man since you got announced as a full-time driver, replacing Isbeth. Is that because are you now putting more practice in, or you've just got that extra thing to focus on, and you've not got the doubts about which car will I be driving? Will I even be driving?
No, I just practice now. I didn't really play the game before I got a main seat. So yeah, it's practice, and yeah, it's paying off, it seems.
I wish if I practiced I'd get that pace. I think if I practiced I'd lose my excuse for being so slow. Again, a fantastic job for yourself. Bumps you up a long way up in the championship. I imagine now your aim for the season is just perhaps see if you can pick up a victory. Obviously, missing a couple of races means championship. Mathematically, obviously, it's still possible, but realistically, going to be very difficult.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get some good results and maybe help Matthew out or something, and we'll see.
Yes, yeah, certainly a fantastic job from yourself. I'll let you head off and celebrate your first podium of the season.
Okay, copy. Bye.
Right, see you, Benjamin. That is pretty much it then for this stream. Thank you to all the top 3 drivers for joining us into the interviews, and pretty much every single driver out there for providing what was an absolutely blistering race at Silverstone. If you want more PSGL action, you do not have long to wait. Wednesday will be the next tiers on the PC. Fingers crossed every car will be able to see each other around Austria. And of course, the top tier will be on Thursday. Only 3 more rounds to go in the top tier. Austria, China and Portugal. And then as you can see on the graphic there, PlayStation will be on Thursday, Sundays and Mondays. We'll be back Monday, 8 p.m. Myself and hopefully Mark with a nice little Lemsip. Other cold remedies are available for round number 7 of the season at the Red Bull Ring, the Austrian Grand Prix. Will it be another Red Bull victory? Joost taken 3 wins so far this season. He extends his lead to 12 points in the championship. Can the field fight back, or will it be delight for the Dutchman at the home circuit for his team? You'll have to tune in a week to find out. Thank you so much to everyone for watching, liking, subscribing. Carter with the super chat as well with it. 10,000 subscribers. Absolutely ridiculous growth. And we will see you in a week's time. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.